So one of the experiences that I'm very grateful for that I got to experience in the last few months was the experience of healing myself. I was diagnosed with hyperthyroidism after a car accident last year. And hyperthyroidism is known for not being able to be cured. Like, it's a thing that you have for the rest of your life. And later I found out in tests that I had it because I had nodules in my thyroid that were producing too much iodine. And so I felt really hopeless. I didn't know what to do, what I could do. I was really afraid that they might have to remove my thyroid because I kept meeting people who also experienced this thing, especially women. And they told me how horrible it was to have hyperthyroidism and how like they have to take a pill for the rest of their lives that basically replaces their hyperthyroidism. And I'm sorry, that replaces their thyroid. So I just was like really afraid that I might have to do that. And one night I had a dream, and in this dream I was let known by I would say my guides that I could heal myself. So I'll share the dream because I feel comfortable enough to share it. But in the dream I was basically walking, and there was this lady standing in front of me. And I walked to her and I asked her, I let her know that I was supposed to take a test where they would find out if my nodules were hot or cold. And that I was going to find out from there what I could do. And she told me that I really needed to take care of myself because if she said something, she called it a different name that I've never heard before. But she said that it could evolve to the point like if you cut yourself, like you could bleed to death, basically, which I didn't understand. But while I was talking to her, this another young lady approached me, and when she approached me, she told me very innocently and like just very randomly, "But you can heal yourself from this." And I looked at her and I'm like, "What? Are you serious?" And she's like, "Yeah, you can." And then I woke up. So I woke up like thinking like, what was that about? Like I'm really curious because if that's the case, then I want to heal myself because I don't want to be dependent of pills or whatever. And then one of the things I had to do with when you have hyperthyroidism is that you have to take tests, blood tests, to find out if just to make sure that your levels are okay. And I was taking these tests like every 3 months. And I'm a thin person. So when you put a big fat needle in my vein, like it was really bothering my hand. And the last time that I went, the last time that I had gone to take the blood test, my arm was hurting. It hurt for a week. And I just felt so uncomfortable. Like, do I really have to do this for the rest of my life? And then so I went to my doctor, and my doctor, she told me, I want you to take all these tests and whatever. And after I left that appointment, I just felt very unsettled. Like, I just kept thinking to myself, I'm letting a doctor tell me what to do with my body? Why would I do that? It's my body. She doesn't live in it. I live in it. So why do we let doctors tell us what we need to do with our bodies? No. That's how I felt, and that was the initial feeling that really encouraged me to find a way to heal myself. And I just became so driven after that. I wanted to find every way possible to heal myself from this. I changed my diet as far as like foods. I basically vegetarian now. I used to eat everything before. I used to eat very unhealthy foods. And now every time I put meat in my body just doesn't like it. Like a big part of my healing had to do with like clearing old wounds or kind of healing them. It had to do with like emotional clearing. It had to do with really facing those fears that I had and really confronting people in my life that I felt were not being kind to me, but confronting them in a very kind and loving way. I basically looked back at my life, and any person that I kept thinking about was somebody that there was some unresolved issue that I needed to face. And so I found a way to contact those people, and I basically apologized for anything that I said that might have hurt them. And if I felt they hurt me, I let them know, these things really bothered me and they really hurt me. But regardless of whatever you did to me, I love you because I understand that you did it out of, you didn't understand what you were doing. And so, like, one of the biggest issues that I did with this was actually doing this with my parents, because I was raised in a very unstable environment my whole life, and that was one of the reasons why I was guided at 18 years old to just to move out of my home from my parents, because I couldn't be there anymore. With the changing of my diet and with clearing a lot of energetical blockages, so what I found out was, as far as healing, is that the reason diseases are created is because people have fears that they don't face, and the more that you store them in your body, the more they manifest as diseases. So the way to start healing is to actually face those fears, to be brave enough to face them, because after you face them, you realize how actually they're not a big deal at all. And you keep thinking why did I wait so long to really say this to this person, or really speak my truth? And that was the main issue with me, and why hyperthyroidism was manifested in my thyroid. It had to do with speaking my truth. And my whole life I had been just caring about people and what they thought about me, and I wanted to please everybody. I didn't want anybody to get angry. I wanted everybody to be happy, and I just gave so much of myself to them, and I forgot about me. And I felt this longing most of my life of when am I gonna take care of myself? When is it my turn? Or why can't I say what I want? And why don't people respond back? And why don't they give back as much as I give to them? And that's in my development, I realized that I can't give to people if I don't take care of myself first. And I really had to put everybody around me, I had to put them on hold. It's wait a minute, I love you, but right now I need to take care of myself. And if you want to be part of my life, you really have to understand this and give me the space that I need. I'm going to come back to you, but for right now, I need to be alone. And being alone was another fear that I had, that I faced. It's one of the things that really helped me was I wrote a list down of all the fears I had, and all of those fears were the fears that I was going to face. And each time that every time that I faced the fear, I would cross that fear off my list. And I did it more as a way to really show me that I really am progressing, and that I'm not letting old stuff rule my life. And the more that I did that, the more that I wanted to be free from everything in my life that was tying me down from really expressing myself. The way that I found out that I healed myself from hyperthyroidism is because I took a test. I had to take a test to find out the levels of the iodine intake on my thyroid, and the levels were normal. They didn't find any nodules in there. They were all gone. I had 2 of them and they were gone. So I have I knew that I had healed myself, but I also wanted proof. I wanted something for myself, I guess partially for myself, but also for people who might not believe me. And I got this test and it proved that I was healed. And I went to my doctor and she said, you don't have to take any more tests. And then she said, but we want to take one last ultrasound, blah, blah, blah. And I told her, I feel good. I don't feel bad. And if I keep taking tests, I feel like I'm just doing it for you. And that doesn't feel right. So I need to I just don't want to do tests anymore. And that was the last time I saw her. And that was about, 3 months ago. And it felt really good to just leave that place and not have to go back and be poked at anymore by needles, or go to hospitals, or just feeling powerless. That's something that I've learned that I don't want to feel anymore. I felt powerless for such a long time, and now it's just no more. Sharing everything that I did do mainly because there's just so much detail that it's hard to be able to really say everything right now. But the reason I'm sharing this is to let you guys know that diseases are our own manifestations of how we're feeling in our lives. And some people might say, I can't believe you said that. What about cancer? What about all these things? Well, one of the books that really inspired me in healing was actually by a doctor called Max Gerson. And he found out that he could heal himself from his migraines that he kept having for a long time, and that he could heal like people who had cancer, because he actually created a book. And he actually came, I think he's from Germany, and he came to the US, and he came to the US and to try to help people over here. But because and he had proofs that he had cured people, and because the way that society is built in the US, he was banned in the US. And now if you look him up on Wikipedia, he's known as supposedly a fraud, but he's not, because I read that book and I took the advice and it helped me. So you really have to really try things on for yourself, because people can tell you what you should believe, and people can tell you what's right or wrong, but you know what's right or wrong. You don't need anybody's advice. If you want to ask for help, that's great, that's awesome. There's people on earth that are here to help. But know that you are your own resource. And the more that you let other people tell you what you should believe and what's real and what's not, the more that you're giving your power away to those people, because you're deciding to see your life under their eyes and not yours. And so that's something that I learned in my healing process. It's just everything that has happened to me since after this car accident that I had has been so synchronistic that I just can't ignore it. Even if my mind would think about, well, maybe if I did this, my heart's no. It's I can feel the pull more stronger now. And it's just in the last year that I've evolved since after the car accident, I have changed so much, completely, a lot. Even my brother tells me, where's the old sister I used to have? And the last response I gave him was your old sister used to be sick all the time, so I don't think so. But yeah, I've changed so much. The way that I feel is the evolution that I've gone through in the last year probably takes people, the common person, about 10 to 15 years to go through. And there's a purpose why I went through that. And it had to do with my realignment to more of myself, of my true self. And the synchronistic part about it was that the day that that car accident happened was actually on 8/9/10. So it was the month 8 and the day 9 in the year 10. So hello, the alignment's right there. And the other synchronistic part was the day before that, I had seen my parents, and for the first time in years, we were all eating together on the in the table, in the kitchen table. We were all eating together, we had a long time, and I felt almost crying, because I'm for the first time I feel I belong. I feel we're united, and that's what I've been wanting to feel for such a long time. And then the next day, everything that I experienced, everything that I knew around me just dissolved.